Hi everyone, it's Gillian and welcome to my channel Hooked and Smitten. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you 4 different ways to get rid of this unsightly gap on the end when you make your chain 3 for your double crochet stitches. For today's tutorial, I'm using Red Heart Super Saver yarn and a 5mm crochet hook. Stay tuned at the end of this video and I will show you a way to make straight edges like I did here. Straight edges even though you have the gap here on the side, if that's something that you're interested in. Also, let me know in the comments which one of these methods are your favorite. So let's get started. So this is the original way, and the original way you will chain 3 and you will turn your work, and this chain 3 counts as your first stitch, so you will skip that first stitch and you'll make a double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, what we would do is we will make a double crochet into the top of the chain 3, and that what gives us that big gap on the side, and that is not something that we like, so we're gonna change that. For method number 1, usually at the end of the row you will chain up, chain 1, 2, 3 or 4, however you need to chain to go up to the next row. For the stack double crochet stitch, we're not going to do that. We're just going to turn our work and we're going to work directly into that first stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop, and you have 2 loops here on your hook, and you're going to pull through for your single crochet stitch. Okay, you now have 2 loops in the front here, and you're going to be working under the loop that's closest to the working yarn. You don't want to go under both loops, because if you do, it's going to undo the whole stitch. So you're going to go under that loop on the left that's closest to the working yarn. You now have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap your hook and you're going to only pull through 1 loop. You now have 2 loops on your hook and you're going to wrap your hook and pull through both loops. And that is your stack double crochet stitch. And you're going to continue by making a double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end. At the end of the row, you're going to make a double crochet into the last stitch. And I'm going to make another row and I'm going to show you what to do when you get to the end. So you're not going to chain, you're going to turn your work, go into that first stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to wrap your hook and pull through both loops. You're now going to go under the loop that's closest to your working yarn. You're going to wrap your hook and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to wrap your hook and pull through both loops. And you're going to continue making your double crochets all the way to the end. At the end of the row, you're going to make a double crochet on the loops. You can see it's very easy to see. Right here, you're going to make your double crochet underneath that V. It's very easy to find. And as you can see, it's definitely a lot straighter than this way, and you have no holes. So that's one way to eliminate that gap. For method number 2, it's the chain 2 method, and that's where you make a chain 2 in the beginning of the row, and then you make a double crochet into that same stitch, And as you can see, it gets rid of the gap that you would have if you just make the chain 3 in the beginning. You will chain 2 and turn, and that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to go ahead and make a double crochet into that very first stitch. And you're going to continue making double crochets into each stitch until you get to the end of your row. At the end, you're just going to make a double crochet into that last stitch. And we'll make another one. I'll show you how easy it is to find your stitch at the end here to finish off your row. So you're going to chain 2 again, and you're going to turn, and remembering that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So you're going to make a double crochet into that same stitch. And you're going to continue with your row of double crochets to the end. And at the end, you're going to make a double crochet into the last stitch. And here you can see the V very clearly. And you're just going to repeat that as many times as you need to repeat it. I don't think that this is necessarily very straight. It's not straight. I don't think it is, and I don't know if for some reason that may bother you a bit, but it does get rid of the gap. For method number 3, and I like to refer to this as the double crochet 2 stitches together. On one end, you're going to be double crocheting 2 stitches together, and on the opposite end, you're going to be making a chain 2 and a double crochet into the same stitch. And this is, I just learned this recently, so I'm going to link the creator's information in the description below, so you can go ahead and check out her stuff. She has a lot of really cool videos. So I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to turn your work, and that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. Into that same stitch, you're going to make a double crochet, and you're going to continue making 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of your work. Into the last stitch on the end, you're going to double crochet 2 stitches together. So you're going to wrap your hook, and you're going to go in to the stitch. You're going to pull up a loop. You have 3 loops there on your hook. You're going to pull through 2 loops. You're going to wrap your hook again. You have 3 loops there, and you're going to go into the same stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to pull through 2. You now have 3, and you're going to pull through all 3. And this makes for a much straighter edge and no gaps in between. I really like this. So we're going to continue, and we're going to make another row. We're going to chain 2. So at the beginning of every row, you're going to be chaining 2. And you're going to make a double crochet into that same stitch, remembering that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. Okay, continue by making a double crochet into each stitch or whatever your pattern is in between until the end. You want to keep track of your stitches and make sure that you're not increasing. At the end, you can see your V-stitch here. You're going to be working into this stitch. I know there's something on the side, but that's not the one you want. You want this one right here. And into that stitch, you're going to double crochet 2 stitches together. So you're going to wrap your hook, go into that stitch and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops. Pull through 2 loops. You now have 2. Wrap your hook one more time, go into the stitch, pull up a loop. You're going to pull through 2. You now have 3, and you're going to pull through 3. And you're going to repeat that. And as you can see, I really like this. This is going to become one of my favorites. That looks very nice. It's so much straighter than others. So we're going to go on to the last one. For number 4, you're not going to chain. You're going to turn your work. You're going to pull up on that loop, and you want it to be as tall as a double crochet stitch. You're now going to turn your hook, but when you turn your hook, you're going to turn your hook towards you. You're going to turn your hook like this, and you want to make sure that you're holding on to this yarn. You don't want to let that go. You're going to turn, and you're going to go into the very first stitch, and you're still holding on to the yarn. You don't want to let that go. You're going to pull up a loop, still holding on to that yarn. You're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2. You now can let go, and you're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2. And that works as your first double crochet stitch. And you're going to continue making 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, you're just going to make a double crochet into that last stitch. And we'll make 1 more row, and I'll show you how to make your double crochet into that stitch that you just made on the end. So remembering that you're not going to chain up, you're going to turn your work. You're going to pull up on that loop. You're going to hold on. Make sure you're holding on to that loop. You're going to turn your hook towards you and around. Make sure that you're still holding on to that loop. You're going to go into that first stitch. You're going to pull up a loop, pull that through, still holding on to that stitch, that loop. You're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2. You now can let go, and you're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2. You're going to continue making your double crochet to the end. And at the end of the row, you have a loop here and then a loop kind of like there, and you're going to be working on the both of those loops for your double crochet stitch. So you're going to make your double crochet right there. And I also like this, and this looks so much better than the gap on the side when you just do the basic chain 3. What I'm going to show you is how to make this straight, the edges straight, even though you have that gap from the chain 3 on the sides. As you can see with the original way, it's kind of wonky on the sides. It's not straight. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. This is a pattern that works good if you're making something with a mesh pattern. If you're making a scarf or a blanket and you just don't want to have to put an edging on, you can use this method and everything will come out straight. So I'll show you how to do this. So you're going to chain 3, and that chain 3 is going to count as your first stitch. So you're going to skip that stitch, and you're going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of your work. At the end, what you would usually do is that you will make a double crochet into the top of the chain 3. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to make a double crochet into the second chain. So double crochet into that second chain. And you're just going to repeat. You're going to chain 3. and turn. Skipping that first stitch, make a double crochet into each stitch to the end. At the end, you're not going to be making your double crochet into the top of the chain 3, you're going to make it into the second chain. And if you repeat that throughout your pattern, you're going to end up with a straight edge. And I'm going to show you that I made a scarf exactly like that. So I made this scarf, and that's exactly what I did. On the end, I went into the second chain for the whole scarf, and I couldn't be more happy. This came out perfectly straight, and there was no need to put a border on to the sides. So here we have the original way to make your double crochet rows. We have number 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bonus. Let me know which one was your favorite. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. Please like, share, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video.